Maybe you've never driven an automatic before. If you live in the UK, that's likely. They're becoming more popular, but a lot of drivers have never driven one before. Or maybe you've been driving one for years, but you don't really understand the mechanical nuances of what's going on inside the transmission. This video is a primer. We're going to talk about drive, neutral, park, when you should use these modes, when you shouldn't use these modes. And we're also going to highlight some of those habits that can actually destroy your transmission or run up a really expensive repair bill. It really helps to have a little bit of mechanical sympathy, particularly if we're driving a relatively modern automatic transmission. The basic controls of an automatic gearbox is drive. So drive is, as it says, when you're driving the car, that activates everything. When you press the accelerator, the car selects an appropriate gear to the speed you're doing, and everything runs smoothly and completely automatically. Sport mode certainly hangs on to the gears much longer than drive mode does, and the change points are much higher. The overall idea is to keep the car in the power band and deliver the maximum amount of power that we need to make rapid forward progress. It seems then from this overview that sport mode is just for sporty fast driving and drive mode is just for traffic. But actually we could say that drive mode is for lazy drivers that want the car to take care of most of the thinking for them, and sport mode hands over more control to the driver. Then you've got park. So park is only ever used if you intend to park the car. It's not intended to be used if you've just stopped briefly in traffic. So if you're only expecting a brief stop, don't use park. But get a good feel for your transmission. If you're sat there in traffic and you can feel the car tugging against the brake, that's putting wear and tear on the transmission, and we need to do something different. And in most cars that would mean that we engage park or we firmly press the brake pedal. In some cars you have to press the brake pedal particularly hard, but work out a mechanical sympathy for your individual car, whether you've got a CVT transmission, a conventional torque converter automatic, or a more modern DSG transmission. They all have slightly different methods of operation. Sometimes they put the car into a park mode automatically themselves when you aren't moving, and other times you need to give them a little bit of a prompt. But the upshot is park is really only for long duration stops. The parking pull is fired out into the transmission to lock it into place, and it adds a little bit of extra hesitancy when you want to pull away again. Then we come to neutral. Now, neutral should only really be used when you're towing the car. It's not really there for saving fuel when you go downhill. Now, a lot of modern cars will actually coast along automatically in neutral. And is that safer? Is that different to doing it manually? Well, it is substantially different because you've now got the computer managing it. It won't allow that to happen if you're on a steep decline and the car is picking up speed. It will re-engage the engine and you will have that little bit of engine braking. Also, if you needed to accelerate suddenly or you started braking, the car will override the neutral setting and kick it back into drive. And it will generally do that very quickly, very precisely. It will match the RPM to the road speed and everything will continue very smoothly. Neutral is not there for disengaging the engine when you're waiting in traffic. When you are waiting in traffic, keep your foot pressed on the foot brake. For longer stops, shift into neutral when the car's stationary, obviously, and apply the handbrake. So putting your foot on the brake while you're in traffic at night means your brake lights are going to be on, and that's going to glare and dazzle the drivers behind you. So it would be an act of kindness not to do that at night, to maybe just adjust the driving habits and maybe use the neutral with the handbrake on as the option. Generally, as you're driving the car, if you feel the car is still tugging against the brake, you are potentially straining components within the engine, the transmission, and you should really aim to try and avoid doing that. So if you feel that the car is still pulling or it's starting to lurch, think carefully about what you're doing, what you're asking the car to do, and which gear you've actually selected on the transmission. Manual shifting is useful. It means that you can select a gear just as you would have done with a manual transmission, but we need to be careful we're not changing gears too aggressively. We're not forcing the RPM to go too high, particularly when the engine is in its warm-up period. And also when going downhill, you may want to select a lower gear, but a lot of modern automatics do these things for you, and they're very good at anticipating your needs. So manual gear selection is something a lot of drivers don't worry about. And the other little tip is to be careful when we are changing gears, particularly when we're going from a forward gear into a reverse gear, or as I've already said, when we select the park mode, make sure the car is stationary, because we can damage the automatic gearbox by changing things and the car is still rolling along. I hope you found the video useful. Please boot the like button. I've lined up this video to help you to get the best longevity out of your car, and this playlist that should help you develop your driving skills and put you above the average driver. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so, because that really does help us to get out there.